this from a couple weeks ago. Here's where we are. And it's not unacceptable, okay? But unacceptable. Yeah, this is my book. That's not me. I wish. Hey, great news. We got our second vaccination today. So I cracked everybody up in the hospital, said, hey, if we hurry, we can catch the plane. Oh, shoot. It's fun being crazy. So a couple of weeks, we'll be safer. Okay. So what I do first, now assuming that I've already done my acetate tracing of the photo, and she looks pretty similar. Her lips are off. Now, if you will notice, the curve here is about like that, and the curve here is about like that. So the philtrum has tried to straighten itself up. So we've got it there. It's just off a degree or two, but it's enough that if you knew her, it would be wrong. You would notice it. So first thing I do is check to see if I'm in drawing. And if y'all want to make notes, feel free to, because I'm going to explain how I critique my own work in a good way to improve it, not to be critical, no, I can't do this and all that. It's to look at it and go, that mouth is still off a little bit, because you have a tendency to want to straighten things. And I've got a straight line here instead of a curved axis here. Does that make sense? See, the curve is here, right through the center of her chin, right between her eyebrows, and up to the center of her forehead. And what I've got is a straight line. Maybe that'll make sense. They do, Kathy. They when you're not going to show it with the real photo, but for learning purposes, and that's why I do these in this journal, is to push myself to see these things quicker. When I first started painting faces, I couldn't even tell you what in drawing meant. I had to learn that and had to train my eyes to see it. So next thing I'll do is take a quick, y'all know I measure all the time. So the mouth is a little bit wide in addition to being out of place a little bit. And then we're going to check the nose. The nose is about right. And that should line up here, and it does, with between the eyes. And that eye is a little bit narrow. And so is that one, just a little. So that's how I check. Now, the next thing I check is where I'm going to key from. Where am I going to measure from and assume that that feature is correct, or, you know, it's in the correct position. Let's put it that way. So I've got an eye that starts at the right place, and I want to measure how far to where the hair starts. And so it comes out here, which I knew when I did it because I wanted that to supply, to give us part of the shading. And you can really see it here. My original line is out here. Now on the other side, it's less than what I have. So again, that mouth, got to make sure you're comparing apples to apples. And we're in pretty good shape. Like I said, it's not far off. Now, this is where I decide, oh, You were right. You did see it correctly. The mouth is off. It ends, it just comes up a little bit. The fulcrum is over like a 16th or an eighth of an inch, and it ends correctly on this side. And then this lower lip is showing a fullness on that edge that I don't have. So that's good. And here's the outside line that I drew in the beginning, that orange line. And my eyebrows are a little bit too high, which is easily fixed. So let's go ahead and let's get that mouth fixed first. Ask me questions as we go now. I'm going to try to keep up with the chat. We're in gouache, Hemi gouache, which I have to admit I do like. And I'm going to cut that off a little bit right there. And we'll give that a chance to dry. Now we've got, I'm just going to kind of clean off my brush. And revisit that coolness. So we're right on target there. And I think we're pretty close over here. Probably needs to come. The curvature is out a little bit and then around. And I'm going to check across the cheekbones. It's right on target. Check at the mouth. And it's not on target. So where are we wrong? Probably over here. Just a little bit. For those of you who are new to my channel, I invite you to like and subscribe. It doesn't cost anything to subscribe, and it surely does help me out. I do like it, Kathy. It's I'm not going to like it so much when it dries out because I like a creamier. I like to work with gouache right out of the tube. I know there's been a whole lot going on about I'm getting a little bit of red to that brown. About people deliberately drying them out, and that's fine. I mean, you know, it's all subjective. It's not right or wrong. But it's just a preference. I do not want to have to fight to get something wet. And I'm the same way with my watercolor. Remember that this is a dance. Be easy there, Rainbow. Pretty darn close. Pretty close. Just dab your color right on your photo. Okay, chin. It's right on target. So then what your next question is that it's not got form yet. So it's kind of flat. So I'm going to make I'm going to put in some cad yellow and some cad red and some green. And now add some white. Didn't do myself any favors on that white. Pretty close. I mixed cad yellow, cad red, and a little bit of plain old green. It's close to a permanent green, but it's out of the Hemi tube, and it's pretty close right there. So I'm going to just do a little bit of this. The green is there to cool down. And when it cools, when the skin cools with this mixture, then it will recede. Cool colors recede. Cool colors recede and go to the back. So that makes our ball turn, okay? Warm colors come forward. So that's the top of my ball, which would be in this area. The overlay is something that I'm going to kill. The overlay is just a damn good way to get your face in drawing. And by in drawing, I mean it's correct. Now, if you're doing illustration or you're doing more of a modern, very loose graphic painting, then your eyes and all that stuff don't necessarily have to line up perfect, because that's part of the style. See, I said mine were a little high, so we'll bring those back. I want to cut back on this color just a little as I apply more. The darkest part of the face is the side away from the light. The light's hitting from over here, so this area right here is the darkest spot on her face because it's going into the eye socket. Always work with the biggest brush you can and then go up a size. Yeah, I know. We're not after a perfect painting. I don't want it to be photorealism. That's not my style. My style is just realism. So you know what you're looking at. You know it's a face. You know it's a woman. That's realism. You know it's a landscape, but it doesn't look like a photograph. I usually use a palette knife to dig in my paint. And I'm not doing it over here, and so I've got a mess. I don't want a white, so I'm just mixing it with what I've got. Let me show you. Mixing it with what I've got on my palette from, it's just been getting recycled and re-wet and used again. This is the color I just kind of mixed. So just go until you get something that you like. Now this is the method that I use in oil painting faces, except when I'm doing skin and oil painting, I'm using a tiny little brush. And I'm just in there just doing bare little hatch marks. Because I'm a fan of Bouguereau. And his skin tones were prettier than in person. They just glowed. And it was because there were many, many layers. Tone that down just a hair. And y'all know that I don't mix my colors to death. I prefer to have a little bit of each of the original colors on my brush. There's kind of scumbling here. The surface is rough. Because it is mixed media. Making a gradual turn of my form from light to a little bit of a warm into that greenish brown. So I lost my train a while ago. So it helps me if you like and subscribe and hit the bell. You'll find out when I'm going live, and then you can hop on and watch, or it helps you remember that you want to watch it. Kind of feather in my color a little bit. Chat, chat. Hi, Joyce. Okay, bye, Kathy. Yeah, and you just slowly figure out where it needs to be fixed, and it's not always where you think it is. All right, let's do a little bit on that mouth. So we said that this was right, so I'm just going to pull it up, and this had to come down more. Mm-hmm. Something else that you may not know is that color may look like the color you want on your palette, but when you get it up next to another color, it completely changes. In other words, the color that you're actually using looks different when you actually use it. And I like Cad Red on my nose. And this is another place where you really got to watch the tilt of her head. Or you'll have that nose perfectly even on both sides. And hers is tilted. The reason for the bright warm color is because this is where the blood flows. Now you got to watch this angle. It's got to be the same as the eyes, but not straight. See, this nose hole is bigger. So the tilt of the head Check on you guys. With just a little bit of that brownish color on the wrong side of the nose where it starts to turn this way. Checking, checking, checking. I'll get a smaller brush for that. I need to redo this little nose hole. This little nose hole right there. And I've got them going perfectly, trying to go even. Yep, that's what I thought. The nose, the side of the nose is here. I've got it a little bit wide. Bye-bye. And the nose on this side, draw a plumb line, and it's straight down from that eye, which it is. So then we're gonna use, we know that side's right, so we're gonna come over here and fix this one. I'm being awful quiet today. I said I was going to do better, and I didn't. Do, 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 do. Do, 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 do. Now, if you feel that your gouache layers are beginning to pull up or liquefy under you, you'll notice it because the colors will kind of begin to get sticky. I coined that phrase. Pay attention to the philtrum. Thank you, Joyce. I'm going to check this because it's easy to get out of whack. You're still pretty good, though. I accidentally slapped that brown on there when I was covering up the nose. Okay. Yeah, Phil has drum. How am I ever going to do that if you leave me? Don't leave me. My mouth is better. I've got a cloth here. It happens to be a shop towel, those blue ones. You can get them any place. And when I take my brush out of the water, I just run it across. Nose. And the eye, outside of that mouth, ends right on the eyeball, so it's very close. Very close. And we're a little bit top of her Cupid's bow is very rounded. Right. Now where are we? We've got that just about right. My eyebrow's a little high. We decided put some skin tone in the eyebrow itself so it doesn't look so harsh. A little bit more like that. I think I'm still just a hair. One of these days, I'm going to begin breaking out of this habit I've got, because I really want to do some more fun stuff. And this one's a little bit high right there. I want you guys to also be aware that every artist you'll come across may be really, really good and competent, but they are still a student. We learn all the time. We try new things all the time. And so did the old masters. Or even not the old masters, but the 1800s, Renoir and Degas. They constantly challenged themselves to do something different. So know that you may see me fumble around sometimes, and that is entirely normal. And I'm not in a race to finish anymore. And particularly since I have this in a journal, it's not so precious. That's a good color right there. And this has really been helpful to me the past couple years working this way, because I've gotten a whole lot of practice. So I can tell you that that is an advantage of journals. It doesn't matter what you use them for. Use them for writing recipes down and then paint over it if you want to, or collage over it. This is a low Cornell. Don't you see how it's splaying out? This is a really pretty good. No, it isn't either. It's an SAA Kolinsky round. I think it's a little bit synthetic. All right. Now, we talked about the curvature, and now I'm going to look for hard and soft edges. See, these are way too hard right here. They're crisp, and that's what that means. So I'm going to soften them. Just like that. There's a little mark as the lower lip turns into the mouth that is just catching the light. See, that's one of those fun things that nobody would ever catch, but it just adds to the believability. You got to be careful. I'm gradually getting that mouth a little bigger again. Phil's drum was also moving. We're pretty damn close right there. Okie dokie. Now we've got, I'm going to the forehead. A little bit of the reddish color, skin color going into that dark, and then a little bit lighter. Maybe some water. Maybe not. I got some right here. Whew, we left that one last time. I need a little more white. I want just a little bit of yellow ochre in this. Just like the tip of my brush into my light flesh tone. And if your brush starts acting like it's sticking on you, get it wet and re-wipe it, and that will help. This whole side over here is a little bit dark. Didn't mean to do that. There. And if you're trying to make a color, you want it lighter and you put it on there and you're too light, just take your next darkest color and mix right on the paper. A little bit right in here. At this stage, I'm beginning to pay attention to the quality of my brush strokes. I've been fairly smooth with everything up until this point. And now I'm beginning to just chunk the paint on and let it stay there. And that out a little bit. Because I've got a lot of texture going and I like that. I was going to tell you that I don't paint every eyelash, and then so that's where a good place for your brush to splay out would be, and just barely hit that edge. And then if you need to, you can come back in and paint back into and all the little wrinkles around her eyes where the plastic surgeon hasn't taken them out yet. Those are all really important to convey realistic. Be afraid to get your fingers in it. Okay, now I'm ready to do that eyelash. Remember I said my eyes were a little bit too narrow? They started at the right place, in the middle. But they were a little bit too narrow. And my eyes are a little bit too white. That didn't help. A little bit of blue. Didn't mean to do that either. Kind of got a dirty flesh tone with a little bit of blue. Okay. And then you've got the shadows where the eye is a ball and it turns. This eye is really dark. Right here. Now then. Y'all still with me? Y'all be sure and like and subscribe. Make comments. That's what helps make things work. Add some blue. I'm just dipping my palette knife straight into the mix, into the paint. Take this off. And then black hair or dark hair has blue. Just here and there. That's something a little bit new. I don't think I've shown you before. Okay, now I've got, this is the low Cornell. And I've got, it's an angle. And I'm going to see how it does. See, this hair is coming back. It's kind of splayed out because I've used it a lot. And so I'm just taking it and gently putting some stroke marks. And then this comes down, this hair comes down, just about like that. And over here, we've kind of got the same thing. May have to clean up my palette after this session. Just to kind of simulate a different skin color. I don't want that. Excuse me. Okay. Now where are we on those eyes? And straight black for the pupil, and it moves a little bit from where I had it. And it does not have to be a perfect round. Vicki. You can always do some negative painting. I'm just going to push that back up. Push that back up. Can you tell I'm happy when I'm doing this? Lighten all this just a hair. And if your lines like you put on the highlight for the mouth are too big, just come back and put a little bit of red. I mean, a little bit of lip color. Come on now. My finger's sticking. Mm-hmm. And I've still got a piece of white in there that I don't like. Okay, now a little bit of yellow ochre to tone down the green. Soft edges. Not like that. Come on, darling. Green, green. Okay, now a little bit of a dark brown on the outside. That's not dark brown. On the outside of the iris. Just like that. And you can kind of make a few little marks because you don't want that eye standing out too bad. You have a shadow from the upper lid. This is all still too dark down in here. But I'm just about, I didn't do anything up there. Actually, I need to do skin tone. And do the flicking with your skin tone to break up that hair a little bit. And your hair right here is not very thick anyway. And so now you come back and go the other way with your brown, and that does a pretty good. Okay, we're going to mix up a little bit more. To yellow. It's not exactly the best skin color in the world. Mix it with some mud I had over there. Better. Okay, does anybody else see anything that's bugging you that I just haven't seen yet? I'm just putting on what could be the last finishing touches. A little chunkier there on the nose. All right. All right, y'all are sticking with me. All right, one more time with this. I think I've got the bottom lip now a little bit too. No, it's close. It's a little bit off. I think I am just about done here. All right. Any comments? It's a little darker right into there. Leave it. All right, guys. What do you think? What do you think? Can we say that we did everything on this one we meant to do? We checked the drawing over and over. We looked for lost edges. We looked for a couple of hard edges. constantly checking. And I would say we've got a pretty doggone good rendition of her face. This could still be not quite so sharp. Okay. Ta-da! Let's take a picture. Not too bad. I'll take it. Yep. Any questions? Anybody? I need to finish the other one from last week. This one, but I took my time on that finishing. I need to do a couple of pop-ups at some point. Oh, thank you, Nancy. I'm glad you liked it. You feel free to share it. Get this baby some exposure out there. Out there. I could keep diddling with it, but I have to stop. So you can mess with them and mess with them and mess with them. And then you get to the point where you're not really improving it. You're just changing it. Okay. Well, if y'all don't have anything else for me, her mouth is still wrong, but we're not going to be looking at it forever with the photograph. So I think it's in a good enough spot. We're going to quit because I do see some things I can fix. All right, guys. I love you. I love you up here. Stay tuned. Anybody that's happens on this after the live has posted, feel free to like and subscribe, click the bell, and that way it will help my channel out and it doesn't cost you a dime. So I will see you guys later. Bye bye.